In Your House 14, Revenge of the Taker took place in Rochester, New York on April 20th, 1997 in front of around 11,500 fans. A reported 120,000 fans bought the pay-per-view to see The Undertaker's first WWF title defense since WrestleMania, and a rematch between Bret Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin, the latter being the main event of the show in a match that initially wasn't planned. This In Your House event kinda retains the same low budget feel that Final Four had, with the distinctive In Your House entranceway being greatly simplified, but things like this shouldn't matter, it's all about what happens in the ring. Just before we look at the pay-per-view, if you haven't checked it out yet, please take a look at the channel update video I put out last week. Reliving the War episode 80 and other videos on the channel might get delayed, so I wanted to keep you guys in the loop and stay transparent. Please watch that channel update so you know what's happening with this series and future videos over the next couple of weeks. The free-for-all kicks off with a match. We have the Sultan versus Flash Funk. Not a lot to say here really. You have a power guy versus the speedy high flyer, and this time it's the big man who comes out on top. Sultan won with a powerbomb from the second rope. Doc Hendrix hyped up the crowd talking about the 3 title matches we're going to see tonight. One of those matches features these two legends making their way down to the ring for an interview, Owen Hart and the British Bulldog. What's notable here is the fact that Owen and Davey came out to Bret Hart's theme song for the very first time. Bret's entrance music would end up becoming the theme song for the Hart Foundation. Doc wonders why Owen and Bulldog came out to Bret's music, and Owen said the family had a vote, and because loving brother Bret is so inspirational, the family decided to use his iconic entrance theme. Bret then makes his way down to the ring, and before the Hitman talks, the Bulldog says he, Bret and Owen are the new Hart Foundation, and they're gonna kill the World Wrestling Federation. When Doc says Bret's gonna face Steve Austin tonight, and after the crowd pops at hearing Stone Cold's name, Bret says this is a perfect example of how far America's principles have sunk. The Hitman still can't get over the fact that fans would cheer for someone like Steve Austin after everything Stone Cold's done to him. Bret says he's going to drive home the fact that family values do exist in the WWF, and those values begin and end with the Hart Foundation. Hawk and Animal then show up, and Road Warrior Animal has a bit of a Scotty Steiner moment on the mic.
We've been jumped! We've won 2 jumps, Steve Cold, Steve Austin, and we're gonna come out here!
Hawk says the big problem here is the Hart Foundation, and the Hart Foundation's problem is the LOD. Bret tells Hawk and Animal to go back and touch up their mascara and makeup because the Road Warriors aren't dealing with any tag team tonight, they're dealing with the best tag team in the world. And Animal then says at least LOD aren't the ones looking at men in magazines, referring to Bret ripping into Shawn for posing in Playgirl. LOD promised to win the tag team belts before leaving, and Bret says the Hart Foundation is here to stay until American wrestling fans realize the difference between right and wrong. Honky Tonk Man came out afterwards promising fans that his new protege will get revealed later in a match against Jesse James, and Mankind also cut a promo where he addressed The Undertaker. While holding a fire extinguisher, Mankind says we're gonna have a barbecue tonight at In Your House, and The Undertaker will have to rely on others using the fire extinguisher to put out the flames because Mick Foley has no mercy to give. We'll talk about the build up to the Mankind vs Undertaker match a little later on. Our pay-per-view opens up with the Owen and Davey vs Legion of Doom tag team title match, and the WWF may have inadvertently killed the Road Warriors pop by having Hawk and Animal also appear on the free-for-all. The Legion of Doom sided with Steve Austin during these early days of the Stone Cold vs Hart Foundation rivalry, and the Road Warriors find themselves getting a shot at the tag team titles tonight. Owen and Davey got the upper hand during the short build-up to this match, with the tag champs ducking out of the way and letting the Legion of Doom get slopped by the Godwins. In the week after that happened, the Bulldog made sure the Legion of Doom didn't win their follow-up match against Henry and Phineas. The build-up was very short. Animal and Owen start us off, and Animal takes control by kicking Owen multiple times in the corner, and a jumping shoulder tackle sends the King of Hearts crashing to the mat. Not a great start for the champs. Owen tries to get it together, but his front face lock gets countered with ease. So, reliving the war favourite, Davey Boy Smith gets tagged in, and I'm still waiting to see him perform a chin lock during a tag team match. Maybe tonight's the night. Hawk gets tagged in and Bulldog takes a hard clothesline. He then gets brought to the opposition's corner where he takes more punishment. Owen tries to help, but the referee sends him back to his corner, and Hawk lets Owen know what he thinks of him after hitting Davey with a shoulder tackle. Finally, the Hart Foundation get a chance on offense when Davey hits Hawk with a clothesline, and Owen performs a top rope forearm after getting tagged back in. Hawk breaks a sharpshooter attempt and Animal gets tagged back in. Animal performs a power slam, and then he performs a chin lock. We go to split screen and we see Steve Austin arrive, but check out Bulldog clapping for Animal. He doesn't care if his tag partner's in any kind of trouble. Davey just loves seeing a good chin lock. Owen breaks free, but he takes a press slam. Animal grabs Owen by the hair and Owen goes to the mat again, and Hawk comes back in after hitting a top rope splash. A collision in the corner sends both men down, but Owen manages to hit an enziguri afterwards. Davey gets tagged in, Hawk is in prime position here, and yes, it's a
Davey Boy Smith chin lock.
A pay-per-view Davey Boy chinlock and a tag team Davey Boy chinlock. This pay-per-view has already been saved. 5 stars. End the video. The legendary British Bulldog only tagged in to perform the chinlock. That's brilliant. He tags straight back out and Owen applies a sleeper. The crowd start getting anxious and they want to see Animal get tagged in. And as Hawk fights his way out of the sleeper, we see Jerry Lawler and Jim Ross having an argument at the commentary table. They've been arguing since the beginning of this match about nothing at all really. Davey comes back in illegally to do some double teamwork, but Hawk pushes Davey into Owen. This sends the King of Hearts flying out of the ring. Animal gets tagged in and we see an impressive power slam from the middle rope. Animal pins Bulldog, 1, 2, 3. The Legion of Doom win the match and they become tag team champions. As Owen and Bulldog leave the ring, Mike Chioda comes down and he advises match referee Jack Doan that Davey Boy Smith was not the legal man, and so the match is gonna continue. Owen and Davey just want their belts back, but it's announced that the champs will lose those belts if they don't return to the ring. Owen and Davey rush back down the entranceway and the match resumes. The champs try to get it over with and get out with a quick victory after the restart, but the plan falls apart when Owen misses a top rope splash, caught on the split screen here. Hawk comes in, he wipes Owen and Davey out with a double clothesline. Owen then takes a devastating doomsday device and that should be the match all over. Now take a look at this. The referee delays the count because Bret Hart was late running down to the ring. Bret goes as fast as he can and he breaks the pin, meaning LOD win via disqualification, but they don't win the tag team belts. The Road Warriors look extremely disappointed at the outcome, and Vince McMahon says the last thing the Harts want to do is get on LOD's bad side. Davey and Owen get interviewed by Doc Hendricks afterwards, and Doc says the champs must feel pretty lucky about what happened tonight, and Owen says luck has nothing to do with it. Owen and Davey are still champs because they're the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Hendricks then tells the champs that Steve Austin just showed up, and this seems to surprise Owen and Davey. We go to the Superstar room where Brian Pillman whispers something to Sonny. Let me know in the comments what Brian says here. The two plug the WWF Superstar line. It's good to see Brian back, and he's going to play a bigger role on WWF television very soon. Up next we had Savio Vega versus Rocky Maivia for the IC title. Savio beat Rocky on Raw from South Africa just 6 days earlier, and it was one of the most boring matches you'll ever see in your life. Savio pulled off not 3, not 4, not 5, but 6 nerve holds in one match, and I'm not prepared to put myself through that absolute torture again, but I do want to know if Savio pulled off a similar amount of deadly nerve pinches in this matchup. Check out these bad motherfuckers saluting the nation on their way down to the ring. Don't fuck with these guys. Rock cuts a promo before the match where he says Lady Luck has been on his side since joining the WWF, but Savio's in for a fight tonight if he wants to take away the IC title. And Kevin Kelly gives us a real stern look after the promo for some reason. Kinda creeps me out. Farouk came down once the bell rung, the nation's leader provided commentary for the match, and okay, we have Rocky pulling off the arm drag and armbar, that was the same as Raw, Farouk talking some trash, Savio attacks while Rocky's on the mat, Farouk tells us to put up or shit up.
If you've got a beef with me, you either put up or shit up, and let's mix it up.
And there it is, nerve pinch number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, 5. We stop at 5. That's unbelievable, especially seeing as their previous match had so many also. You'd think someone would say, hey Savio, ease up on the nerve holds man, it's boring as hell. But no, this plays out pretty much the exact same way as the Raw match. We even see the Rock bottom again. The only thing different is the finish. Rock gets thrown out of the ring and he lands on Crush. Crush decides to hit Maivia with a hard punch, and this was a mistake. Maivia not only gets knocked out, but he also gets counted out, meaning Savio does not win the IC title tonight at Revenge of the Taker. Savio and Crush have an argument, Farouk gets in the ring to sort things out, and Maivia ends up taking another kicking from the Nation of Domination. This leads to Ahmed Johnson making the save once again, just like Raw the previous Monday. At the end of Raw, Farouk challenged Ahmed to a match. If Johnson could beat all 3 active members of the Nation, then Farouk would disband the faction. Ahmed accepts that challenge here on the pay-per-view, but the match wouldn't take place until next month. All of this did absolutely no favours for Rocky Maivia. He needed Ahmed Johnson to save him twice, and while Johnson had no problems clearing out the Nation on his own, Rocky was struggling to even beat Savio Vega. It's no wonder people were booing him. Those nerve pinches though, 11 in 1 week. My. Ken Shamrock looks at all kinds of smut backstage on the internet as Vince McMahon says it's rumoured that Shamrock will challenge Mike Tyson tomorrow night on Raw. That's pretty interesting seeing as Tyson wouldn't show up in the World Wrestling Federation until next year. Doc Hendricks interviews Sable and Marc Mero. Mero has been sidelined with an injury, but he says he should be back in the summer. Lucky us. Sable thanks the fans for voting her Miss Slammy 1997. We see Steve Austin walking into the restroom just behind Mero and Sable, and it sounds like a fight breaks out. Davey and Owen then walk out of the restroom, and I can't get enough of Owen and Davey's reactions here when they realise they were caught. I must have watched this at least 10 times. Dave Hebner says he needs help. Owen and Davey attacked Austin. No shit, Sherlock. And oh, speaking of shit, our next match features Double J Jesse James taking on the Honky Tonk Man's new protege. This whole protege thing has went on for months, and now it was time for the big payoff. A few weeks back, the real Double J destroyed the Honky Tonk Man's guitar when James refused the services of the greatest IC champion of all time. So the Honky Tonk Man wanted to get some revenge by unleashing his new pet project on Jesse James. Out comes Honky Tonk Man, he's wearing a different outfit now, he was in a red jumpsuit during the free-for-all. And if you want to see an example of an announcement totally killing an audience, look no further than the Honky Tonk Man announcing his new protege at In Your House 14. Out comes Rockabilly, Billy Gunn with a new awful gimmick that he doesn't look too comfortable with at all, and man, the fans just don't react. Billy Gunn also refused the Honky Tonk Man services just 2 weeks ago, and it's pretty well known that the original plan of bringing in Disco Inferno to become the new protege fell through, so here you go. Throw Billy Gunn out there, give him a crop jacket and tell him to dance without looking uncomfortable. This is shit. To explain this, Honky Tonk Man says that when Billy Gunn punched him in the mouth, he knew he had to persevere and get Billy to accept the offer. Billy got a money offer he couldn't refuse, and that's it. There's a light at the end of this dark tunnel though. If this didn't happen, then the New Age Outlaws may never have gotten together, but yeah, Rockabilly versus Jesse James, fucking awful. Rockabilly dancing in between moves continues to get zero reaction, but you still can't deny his work inside the ring. He takes a few arm drags like a pro before getting sent out of the ring. James hits a clothesline from the apron to the outside, and he warns Honky Tonk Man that he's next. I'm sure Honky is shaking in his blue suede shoes. Rockabilly gets punched in the mouth and sent back into the ring, but a poke to the eye stuns Jesse James. We then see a famouser and Billy remembers he's supposed to have a new gimmick, so he dances again. We see a little hip shaking action before James takes a neck breaker, and Rockabilly tries to impress us by squeezing down on Jesse's chin, but it'll take more than that to get praise around here, son. Honky Tonk Man likes what he sees as Gunn throws Jesse to the corner. Billy then does another little dance before missing a stinger splash, and he also does the Flair flop afterwards. Jesse goes on offense, he does his punch combo, his stupid dance, a clothesline in the corner followed by the strut. Billy manages to throw James out of the ring. He thinks he has it won, but Billy gets rolled up when Double J counters a corner move setup. All that and Rockabilly still takes a loss. Jesse dodges a guitar shot after the bout, and what can I say here except that this was very bad. It's worse too because of the time dedicated to the build-up. The protege was teased for months and the final result really couldn't have been any worse. Poor Billy Gunn would have to go along with this for a few weeks too, as the World Wrestling Federation tried to salvage the angle, but it was dead on arrival. Doc Hendricks tries to sell us this giant Undertaker poster. Not bad, $30. Would look nice in the kitchen or in the bathroom. Kevin Kelly interviews Steve Austin and Kelly wants to know if Stone Cold is able to compete tonight. Austin says he's still competing, Bret would have to kill him to stop tonight's match from happening, and Steve says he doesn't care about the Hart Foundation either.
Because he can bring his whole family and his old fat father stew.
Gorilla Monsoon says the Undertaker vs Mankind match will take place next. This will buy Steve a little more time before he takes on the Hitman. Kevin Kelly then sends it over to Lance Wright and the Hart Foundation. Wait, who's Lance Wright? Even Davey's like, who the fuck's this guy? Lance was a live event coordinator for the WWF, apparently, and he done a little ring announcing at house shows. He had a brief run in ECW too, where he would manage a team of WWF invaders, including Draws, Doug Furnace, Phil LaFawn, and Brockus. And it's been said his ECW character was a parody of Bruce Pritchard. Anyway, Davey and Owen say that it was Austin who attacked them in the restroom earlier. The champs were celebrating while in the toilet, apparently. That's not weird at all. And Steve came in acting like a madman and throwing punches. Bret then delivers a great line before the Hart Foundation leave.
You know what the bottom line is? Who's crying now?
The Undertaker and Mankind had quite the rivalry, and it all started right when Mankind made his WWF debut. Mankind defeated Taker at King of the Ring 96, he beat him again at SummerSlam, and Undertaker also got stabbed in the back by Paul Bearer at that pay-per-view. We had the Buried Alive match and the Survivor Series match. These were won by The Undertaker. And now we get to Revenge of the Taker, where the WWF Championship is on the line. The theme around this match is fire. Mankind threw a fireball in Undertaker's face a few weeks back on Raw, and the dead man hasn't been seen since. He has delivered promos though where he's remained out of sight, saying that Mankind will burn in hell for what he did on Raw. With Mankind promising a barbecue during the free-for-all, you expect fire to play a part in this title match. Mankind cuts a promo before the match saying this will be the greatest night of his life, and The Undertaker's screams will be music to his ear. He comes to the ring still holding the fire extinguisher, and then The Undertaker comes out. Fans were maybe expecting Taker to look a little different after the fireball attack, but he's just got a bandage on, nothing major. Taker rushes into the ring after removing his coat, but Mankind blocks the dead man's attack. Foley starts off aggressively, but the Phenom turns it around and Foley takes a ton of punches. Taker gets floored with a right hand, but he sits right back up. Foley hits a clothesline that sends both he and Taker out of the ring, but he pays for it dearly. He takes a sick looking bump head first into the guardrail, twice. Foley then gets launched over the opposite guardrails and the two fight in the audience. Undertaker stays in control and already Foley has taken some serious bumps in this match. Back in the ring, Mankind finally finds out what would happen if you snatched your hand away during Old School, and Undertaker shows us exactly what would happen when he performs a springboard clothesline. Unreal. And Taker then tries to end it with a tombstone piledriver, but Paul Bearer causes a distraction on the apron. Taker goes after Paul, and this of course gives Mankind a free shot. Mankind smacks Undertaker with the urn, but Taker kicks out of the follow-up pin attempt. Mankind can't believe it and he starts pulling his hair out. Foley then goes on a rampage. He stays in control with a running knee in the corner and a chokehold. Undertaker tries to fight back, but he gets put down with a swinging neckbreaker. Foley then, he applies a nerve hold. Let's give Mankind a pass here, it suits his character way more, and I'm sure he'll only do it once. Undertaker fights out and he punches Mankind out of the ring, and even though Taker briefly stays in the driver's seat when the fight moves to the outside of the ring again, things get a little crazy when Mick smashes a water pitcher over Taker's head. A chair shot to the head follows. Undertaker doesn't even try to put his hands up, and Vince McMahon wonders why the match is allowed to continue as Mankind stays on Taker with a second rope elbow. You know, this Taker vs Mankind match isn't brought up all that often, but Foley's putting himself through a lot here. Some of these bumps look painful, same for the Undertaker too, especially with that chair shot. Mankind bites at Taker's forehead, the bandage gets removed, and we see a pretty good job by the makeup department. Foley continues his destruction of the Undertaker by nailing 2 piledrivers, but somehow the Undertaker gets up and the fight continues. Undertaker begins fighting back and he hits his signature jumping clothesline. Taker then chokes Mankind in the corner. He launches Mankind to the opposite turnbuckles, but Foley pulls Mike Chioda in front of him and the referee gets wiped out with a Taker clothesline. Mankind then applies the mandible claw, the Undertaker goes out, and when Jack Doan comes out to officiate the match, he ends up taking an extremely bad looking bump after Foley throws him out of the ring, following another mandible claw. Watch that again. Look at his head getting caught on the top rope, then his head hitting the apron, and finally the sound he makes when he hits the floor. Paul Bearer throws a chair into the ring, but Mankind decides he's going to grab the ring steps instead. The plan backfires when the Undertaker wakes up and he drop kicks the steps into Foley's face. Mick then takes a chair shot, and even though he got a hand up, his head still takes a lot of impact. Foley then gets his neck caught in the top and middle ropes, and Undertaker fixes this problem by removing Mankind's mask. Mick tries to get back in the ring and...
oh my gosh! Oh!
It's probably one of the most unique and well thought out table bumps ever here in the WWF at least, and man does it look painful. Mick puts a hole in the commentary desk and he remains in this position until Taker comes over to lift him out. The two get back in the ring. Mankind surprises everyone by kicking out after an Undertaker chokeslam, but a tombstone is enough to end the match. Undertaker wins an extremely physical and extremely underrated match. I really enjoyed watching this one back, and it's a real shame this one doesn't get talked about as much as other Foley vs Undertaker matches. Unfortunately, things don't go too well after the bout. According to Foley, he was supposed to accidentally hit Paul Bearer with another fireball, but his lighter got stuck and he couldn't light the flash paper. Foley then panicked. Undertaker said he'd give it a go, but that lighter was stuck pretty good. Watch carefully and you'll see Mike Chioda asking staff if they have a lighter at ringside. You'll also see a few fans offering their lighters, but eventually the original one works and, well, yeah, it was worth the wait. That looked pretty good. It's a shame the lighter wouldn't work at first, especially after the two competitors had such a great match, but they got there in the end. Paul Bearer's face gets toasty, and The Undertaker gives a perplexing look as Mankind brings Bearer back up the ramp. Lighting the fire done something to The Undertaker, and this is something that's going to play out over the next lot of months. Those of you that know what this leads to, you'll know that we're in for some good stuff very soon. Sycho Sid vs Bret Hart was originally supposed to take place tonight at Revenge of the Taker, but Sid had neck issues, or he was playing softball. It all depends who you believe. When Sid didn't show up to Raw, Steve Austin agreed to take his spot in the main event only if Gorilla Monsoon gave him a match against Bret Hart on pay-per-view. This one then differs greatly from Survivor Series and WrestleMania. Bret is not established as a bad guy, to American fans at least, and those same American fans have really taken to Stone Cold ever since WrestleMania. He's on a roll at the moment, and both he and Bret have been absolutely killing it on Raw recently. This match here, just like Taker vs Mankind, is not remembered as well as Bret and Austin's previous encounters, but let's see what happens and let's see how they did. Bret cuts a promo beforehand and he's got Owen and Davey beside him. Doc Hendrix wants to know why the tag champs are here, and Bret says it's none of Doc's business. Hart says if he went out and apologised for what he said recently, the American fans wouldn't forgive him. But at the same time, if fans came out with signs saying Bret's number one, he wouldn't forgive them either. The Hitman says this is a war, and he's gonna take it out on Stone Cold tonight. Bret's already defeated Steve twice, but this third time, Bret says he wants to end Austin's career. Bret comes out with Owen and Davey, but the tag champs get sent to the back by officials. The orders came from Gorilla Monsoon to keep Owen and Bulldog away from the match. Bret has to do this one alone. Steve comes out and he looks healthy after getting attacked earlier on. The Bret and Austin fist fight starts us off. I love this spot. Austin gets the better of Bret this time, and after taking a few boots, Bret gets floored again with a back elbow. Austin hits a suplex, he kicks Bret in the gut. The Hitman gets choked on the ropes, and when things spill to the outside, Austin lands a double axe handle from the apron. Bret tries to fight back, but he gets thrown into the ring steps. This has been all Steve Austin so far, and not a great start for the Hitman. Stone Cold mocks Bret a little before going back to the outside, and Bret again takes a bump at the ring steps. The two then fight at the entranceway, they fight in the audience after Stone Cold launches the Hitman over the guardrail, and Bret shows fear when he starts backing away from Austin in the ring. You guys who follow Reliving the War will know that Bret is working this match totally different tonight, and he's giving Austin a lot to work with. Austin hits an elbow drop from his opponent's own rope, but Bret rolls out after the follow-up pin and he tries to grab a chair. Both he and Austin end up tripping over a second chair in front of Gorilla Monsoon, and both guys give each other time to get back up. Bret brings his chair into the ring, but he doesn't get a chance to use it. Stone Cold takes it away, but he makes the mistake of pandering to the audience. Bret hits a dropkick behind Austin's back and the referee gets taken out in the process. This allows Bret to take the chair, and just like the submission match, Bret begins going to work on Austin's injured knee. Bret notices Earl Hebner's getting back up, so he gets in as many shots as he can before helping Earl back to his feet. What a nice guy. Austin's been damaged badly here as Bret continues targeting the knee, and out of sheer desperation, Austin begins throwing kicks with his good leg. Bret puts an end to that with a rake to the eyes. We then see the figure four around the ring post, and I really like how the commentators put over how dangerous this move is. Bret releases the hold, but he doesn't stop the attack. Austin gets destroyed with a chair, and this one should be all over. A sharpshooter should end the match, but Austin keeps clawing himself back up, only to get put back down again by the excellence of execution. It feels like Bret's enjoying this. Austin gets a few short bursts of offense in, but as soon as Bret goes for the injured body part, Austin goes right back down. The competitors bring it down to the mat, and Bret removes Austin's knee brace as we go to split screen. We see Paul Bearer getting stretchered out of the arena on his way to hospital. With the protective knee brace now removed, Bret continues his attack and everything is amplified. Steve manages to even the odds though with a low blow. Stone Cold chokes Bret with his hands, and then he chokes him again with wrist tape, and the referee lets it all slide. Stone Cold misses another elbow drop, and this allows Bret to go back on offense, and once again, it's all directed to the knee. Bret applies a figure four, and Vince McMahon says Austin won't give up. Bret's maybe trying to get Austin to pass out again. The commentators also say Bret could have applied a sharpshooter here, but he wants to punish Austin a little more. Austin turns the figure four around, and Bret breaks the hold by reaching the ropes. The Hitman then gets in a free shot when Austin argues with Earl Hebner. The Hitman tries the figure four around the ring post again, but Austin kicks his way out, resulting in the two fighting again on the outside and in the audience. And it's clear that Austin wins when it comes to brawling around the ring. Stone Cold gets the better of Bret here. The two get back inside the ropes, and Stone Cold keeps control until he tries a pile driver. Bret's work pays off when Austin's leg gives out and he falls to the side. Austin can't even stay on his feet after Bret performs an Irish whip. The Hitman looks out to the crowd as if to say, "I told you so," but he gets too confident and Austin hits a stun gun in the corner. He then tries a stunner, but Bret holds onto the ropes, and it's Bret this time who hits a low blow to even the odds. We see a superplex from the Hitman, and Bret decides it's time to end it with a sharpshooter. Only Austin grabs his knee brace and the Hitman gets clocked when Bret tries to apply his finishing move. Stone Cold puts the sharpshooter on Bret. Bad things happen when Bret gets locked in that hold. And so Davey Boy Smith and Owen Hart run down to the ring, forcing Austin to release the hold and fight the Hart Foundation off. Bret ends up getting put in the sharpshooter again, but this time Davey Boy Smith gets in the ring and Austin takes a chair shot. This is enough to make Earl Hebner call for the bell, and Stone Cold Steve Austin wins via disqualification. Owen and Davey get sent away momentarily as Bret sees red on the outside. He grabs the ring bell, he goes to hit Austin, but Stone Cold manages to hit Bret in the knee with a chair. Austin then gives Hart a taste of his own medicine with a chair shot. We see another sharpshooter from Austin, and Bret's been injured it seems. Austin said he didn't care if he won or lost tonight, he just wanted to hurt Bret, and it looks like that mission has been accomplished. Bret gets pulled out of the ring by Owen and Davey, and the tag champs have to help Bret to the back. Stone Cold celebrates his victory, the crowd goes nuts for Austin, and our show fades to black as Stone Cold Steve Austin walks back up the entranceway. So, was Revenge of the Taker a good show? The undercard wasn't great, but the last two matches are worth a watch. I agree with the general sentiment that the main event doesn't feature the best Bret Hart vs Steve Austin pay-per-view match, it's the weakest of the three single matches, but it's still a good bout that unfortunately suffers from the DQ finish. Taker vs Foley was good. I'd forgotten how good it was, and if you're one who enjoys physical Mick Foley matches, then you should definitely check it out, but everything else, you could skip over the other stuff really. Maivia vs Vega was the worst match on the card for me, with James vs Rockabilly being a very close second. I just can't forgive those nerve pinches after seeing the same thing on Raw. And the tag team match was just okay. You kinda expect a bit more from 4 seasoned veterans, but there's nothing to really complain about either in regards to the opener. As a whole show, it isn't great, but if you have an hour to spare and nothing else to watch, the 2 last matches could pass in some time. Don't sleep on Taker vs Mankind though. Thanks for watching this one guys. In regards to the next episode of Reliving the War, I honestly don't know right now at the time of this recording if I'll be able to put it together. Please check out the channel update video if you haven't done so already, if you want to know what's going on with wrestling bios. But I hope to see you again real soon with episode 80. Thanks for watching guys, and take care.